only 30 minutes late. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. My name is Brad Royalman, and I'm the chair of Community Board 2. And welcome this evening. I'd like to take a moment just to introduce our other community board members who are here this evening. I think you probably know that this is a meeting of Community Board 2's Social Services and Education Committee, and you no doubt know the topic as well, which we're going to hear about more tonight from a number of special guests and parents as well as educators. The Social Services and Education Committee is comprised of some board members who I'm going to introduce to you tonight. But first I want to introduce my partner in this effort, who is the chairperson of Community Board 2's Social Services and Education Committee. She is an educator. She is the proud parent of 4 public school educated daughters, and her name is Keen Berger. And going from right to left, we have our public member, Vern Fry, Jen Renzang, who's a new member of the board, Naomi Winder, we have Zella Jones, Steve Ashkenazi, to my left is Wendy Schlazer, Rhea Sohn-Lauder, and last but certainly not least is Lisa Kenstruck. And I wanted to acknowledge some of our board members in the audience who have been supporting the community board and the parents and teachers on this effort. The first vice chair, Joe Hamilton. The Eminence Freeze, Ed Golds. The chairperson of our Parks Committee, Toby Bergman. Our traffic and transportation cycling guru, Ian Dutton. And then we have a number of elected officials and their representatives. You'll hear from the elected officials in a moment, but I wanted to acknowledge the representatives who are here. From the Borough President's Office of Scott Stringer, Sean Kahn. Along with his colleagues Jessica Silver, Hunter Johansson, Jennifer Hong, Dan Golub, Brian Cook. I think the entire Borough President's Office is here. From Councilmember Gerson's office is David Feiner. And from City Council Speaker Christine Quinn's office, who will be saying a few words later, is Kate Seeley Kirk. Of course, there are a number of elected officials. The first who has joined us is the amazing, intelligent, perspicacious, and terrific Assembly member Deborah Glick. I'm looking for her.
Thanks very much. I love trees. They don't always love me. I want to thank the Community Board, especially Brad Royalman and Keen Berger, who have dedicated their time and energy to this issue of school overcrowding and how we can provide more space that's crucial to provide quality education. Because unless you have an appropriate class size, you cannot expect teachers to do the top quality job that they are dedicated to doing for our kids. So wanted to bring to your attention that in conjunction with the Public School Parent Advocacy Committee, which is parents from PS 41 and PS 3, we're circulating a survey to parents and community members to gauge the real need, since we don't really think that necessarily DOE is doing that. So it will be emailed. So I think there's some place for people to sign up, so we have your email address, so we can make sure that you can get it, and then you can send it on to friends and associates who have kids or will have kids or hope to have kids in the schools in the 66th Assembly District. And I won't bother going over all of these points, but I do want to say one thing about what we've done on a state level to provide money, capital money, to make certain that there is available school space, because you can't reduce class size unless you have additional classrooms to do it with. So a few years ago, before the campaign for fiscal equity was resolved, and when I say that, I don't mean that the courts actually ruled in our favor, which they did repeatedly, but it was appeal after appeal. But knowing that we were on the horizon of having a different administration willing to commit to putting money into the campaign for fiscal equity, the Assembly majority advanced a major capital infusion of dollars so that the city would be able to create more classroom space. Most of you probably know that there's building aid. That's reimbursed on an as-you-need basis, and that was always there, and it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars. This year, $692 million. Last year, $615 million. The year before, $497 million. But that year, we also added this one-time major capital grant of $1.8 billion. At this point, $1.4 billion has been reimbursed, so they're creating classroom space, but not beyond what they have been allocated. So that's 3 years ago, and there's still $400 million from that one-time grant that has not been utilized. So some of what we all need to do as taxpayers and concerned citizens is to see that the resources that are actually provided to the City of New York in order to create that classroom space is actually fully utilized. And it should not take years in order for that to take place. So I'm going to be here listening to presentations and comments that may come from the public as late as I can, and still kind of maybe get to the next thing. But I just want to assure you that I am committed to seeing that we have additional space in this area. There was a discussion of some sale of some state property that's, with the change of administration, it's up in the air, but we're going to be tracking that and monitoring it to be sure that when there are resources, and remember those state-owned, city-owned properties belong to you, not to whoever is the administration. Public space for public use. And that is how I feel about whether it's park space or whether it's buildings that need to be used for our needs. So we're going to make certain that those spaces that are state-owned or city-owned, which means owned by the public, are utilized in a fashion that meets the needs of the people who actually own them, and that would be you and your neighbors and friends. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Assemblymember Glick, and thanks for your leadership on this issue. And I know I speak for Keenan and the entire community board when we thank you for guiding us on this and some of the other issues important to our neighborhood. We have a special guest. His name is George. Is he ready to say a few words?
Bill stuff so I can go to school, please. Thank you.
Keenberger, I hate to do this to you, but you're going to have to follow that. Don't they say in show business, never follow a dog or a cute kid? So I'm going to turn it over to Keenberger.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that we are in the middle, right smack dab in the middle of a very exciting political campaign. That, as our hearing in January said, we need more schools in this district. Everybody knows that. That's what happened in January. We need a new early childhood center, a new elementary school, a new middle school, a new high school. Everybody knows that. This event is after building that knowledge and what we do next. When this committee, my committee, and the community board understood that, we did several things. One of them is we passed a unanimous resolution saying no new development here unless you consider the need for new schools. Committee helped do that. In the process, we learned a couple things. One of them is that our needs in our local community are not the only needs in the city, and we are happy to have here people from 116 and people from 111 and people from Clinton who agree that we need more schools and more space, and we are certainly not going to be the only area that gets new schools. We also learn, and this is what tonight is about, we learned you need three things to get schools. You need places to put them. We're going to get some slides that show possible places. We need money to support them. Deborah Glick just said there is money there, we just got to get it. And then finally, you need political will. That's what we are a part of here. That's what you're going to hear tonight, is the political push to get room to learn. And so as you hear different things, keep in mind that the goal is several new schools in our area, and that there are three things to look for: where, how to pay for it, and the political will. We're halfway through all this. We're getting there. We need some more push. We need some more stuff. But I just wanted to give you this introduction to what's going on. And now I want to introduce Irene Hoffman, who is going to show us some of the possible places right here in our neighborhood that could be schools. Irene is one of a group of parents who is political advocacy committee who actually started this whole process that we are now in the middle of, and that should end up with, within the next couple of years, several new schools in our neighborhood.
Tonight, and thanks to the Community Board for making this meeting possible. On several occasions, when parents in District 2 have raised the issue of overcrowding, officials from the Department of Education have invited us to propose sites for schools construction. We are happy to help. Parents have heard that the Hudson River Park Trust has been considering the placement of a high school on Pier 40 alongside future recreational facilities. Local parents would like to see a high school that addresses the need for college preparatory academic programs. They would also like to see a middle school that relieves local overcrowding. Last year, St. Vincent's Hospital and the Rutan Organization announced plans for a deal for residential development of a hospital site that would underwrite a modernization. Parents immediately suggested, as with other developments that could add substantially to enrollments, the developer consider building a school on site or collaborating in the construction of a school elsewhere. There are major changes in the Far West Village, from the Meat Market to Canal Street. Given the enormous demand for real estate downtown, many developers are applying to the community board to rezone these industrial areas for residential development to allow the construction of large buildings. This extensive change in usage will both add to local enrollment and create opportunities for school construction. Here are some buildings the community board has been looking at. 75 Morton Street is a state-owned building whose future is currently undecided. Elected officials have suspended plans for its sale in order to consider schools and other potential uses. Trinity Real Estate controls 4 sites in the Hudson Square area, 2 of them quite large. Plans for the development of these sites have not been announced. Trinity Representative Ellen Rader has told parents that the developers are mindful of overcrowding and amenable to school construction. St. John's Center is a very large building across from Pier 40. Development plans have not yet been announced. Michael Kramer, representing developer Eugene Grant, has also expressed concern about overcrowding and a willingness to consider school construction on the site. A UPS parking lot just south of St. John's is currently scheduled to be turned into a sanitation garage, but it faces substantial community opposition. If the garage does not go forward, it would be a potential for a school. Meanwhile, across the street, the enormous UPS package distribution center is apparently underused. Both the new school and New York University have extensive plans for expansion and are in discussion with representatives of the community and elected officials about how to balance their growth against community needs. The new school has applied for a variance to build up from its building at 5th Avenue and 14th Street. A school either within that site or elsewhere on new school property could be considered. The Archdiocese of New York has closed a number of schools and announced its intention to close more. Early childhood centers and pre-K programs might be placed in leased parochial school space. The PS 41 playground is fronted by a long mixed-use building. Calls to the owner have indicated that they do not sell as a rule, but they might be amenable to leasing the building for an expansion of PS 41. District 2 parents were shocked recently to discover that a high school on East 25th Street is being phased out, and the last 2 years on its current lease might be given to a charter school, drawing students from the entire city, while nearby PS 116 is severely overcrowded. District 2 parents would like that lease renewed, and the space, which was renovated at the DOE expense, used to relieve local overcrowding. Are there other DOE spaces facing a similar fate? Parents were also startled to discover that the Whitney Museum is planning an extension in the meatpacking district on city-owned property. While an exciting prospect, this site was apparently never considered as a potential public school. Parents asked what other city-owned properties could become public schools. We have identified a number of sites by observing our neighborhood, participating in our community board, and conferring with elected officials. There are countless other sites apparently underused or unused and might be available for sale or lease. Have the owners of these properties been approached? If these sites come before the community board for rezoning, the community will be able to consider their impact on enrollment and whether to require school construction. Or the developers might be able to build as of right, which in case the community would have no opportunity to raise the possibility of school construction. Better to approach the owners now. This is the final message we would like to leave you with today. If everyone, community members, elected officials, developers, and the Department of Education works together, everyone benefits. Every child will be given the quality education and reduced class size they are entitled to legally and morally. For developers, real estate values in our area, which depend in part on the quality of our schools, will be supported. Public schools are overcrowded and private schools are full. Without responsible school construction, potential residents will look elsewhere and real estate values will suffer. Commerce will thrive where people are encouraged to make their homes. The vibrant, intimate character of our neighborhood will be preserved. If we work together to do what is right, it rewards us all. Thank you very much.
Irene Kaufman, as Keith pointed out, has been working closely with the community board along with 2 of her colleagues who are also public school parents, Ann Kailberg and Tamara Rowe. So I just wanted to acknowledge them and all the great work they've done. And if you were at our last hearing, which was on January 17th, you may remember Irene's son, Evan, who said, if you construct just 500 new apartments, and only half of those apartments has just one child in it, you would add 250 new students to a local school. So I hope he got an A in his math, because I did the back of the envelope calculation and he's correct. So our regards to Evan. And after each, and Evan is right here, and after each elected official and public official speaks, we're going to hand them, Evan is showing it proudly, a copy of Irene's suggestions for new school sites, along with the medallion. And what does the medallion say?
Some say awesome, super.
Awesome, super, things like that. You know, things that encourage them to help us to find new schools. Although our elected officials clearly don't need encouragement. And I will include in that category our next speaker, who is our borough president, Scott M. Stringer. Come on down. And if you don't know already, Borough President Stringer has formed a task force comprised of parents, educators, and community board members to look at this very issue of school crowding. And he's prepared a very comprehensive report. We have copies here tonight, and he's going to give us the highlights right now. Mr. Borough President.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't know if I can top that wonderful PowerPoint, but I'm going to try. And it's really great to be here. And Evan, I hope you think this is okay. But we did release a report called Crowded Out. And I want to start out by just thanking Brad Wildman and Keenberg and everyone at Community Board 2 for organizing what I think is a very important event tonight. And Kellberg and Irene Kaufman, Tamara Rowe, and all the members of the PS 41 and PS 3 political action committees for their activism and also for a roadmap for what's possible, because you put it out there tonight. Congratulations. Deborah Glick is here, and members of the Manhattan Borough President School of the Crowding Task Force is here, chaired by Laney Hampson, and Outside Matters, and Patrick Sullivan, my appointment to the House Education Policy. We actually both started, which is good, so I want to thank you for that. So tonight, the organizers of this event asked me to talk about a new report we just issued called Crowded Out. It's the first study to compare building permits with plans for new schools around Manhattan. And we have full copies of the reports here tonight, as well as reports available on our website. We're going to turn off the lights. I just got new glasses. Now, everyone here sees that construction cranes are recreating our skyline. Baby strollers are crowding our sidewalks. More and more people are moving to Manhattan and raising families. But the issue here, has school construction been keeping up with the pace of new buildings? Our neighborhood by neighborhood study shows that it is not. Here are some of the report's key findings. Every Manhattan neighborhood has problems with school capacity, but our report singled out 4 areas of Manhattan at especially high risk of neighborhood-wide overcrowding. Just as examples, Community Board 1, where every single elementary and middle school is close to or over capacity. CB5, which has no elementary schools and just 1 middle school. Community Board 8, where 5 of 6 elementary schools are over capacity. And of course, right here, Greenwich Village, Soho, CB2, where, as all of you know, every elementary school is now over capacity. Using the city's own methods, we determined that over the past 8 years, the city approved enough new buildings to add up to 2,300 new students to these 4 neighborhoods alone. And that doesn't even count, by the way, for residential conversions. That's just construction of new buildings. During the same 8-year period, the city added just 143 school seats to just 1 of these 4 neighborhoods in Community Board 1, and 0 new seats at all to the other 3 communities. That's up to 2,300 new students and just 143 new school seats in neighborhoods where schools are full to the brim. It's simple math, and it doesn't add up. And when you look at the local level, the problem is even more apparent. Let me show you a few examples of what I'm talking about right here in this neighborhood alone. These purple dots represent buildings approved in the last 8 years, and we've shown that schools are shown as diamonds. Yellow if they're near capacity, and red if they're over capacity. In the South Village, Soho, and Tribeca, the city approved more than 1,700 units worth of new buildings over the past 8 years. The 2 elementary schools in the area are already 296 students over capacity in total. In northern Greenwich Village, Chelsea and Union Square, the city approved more than 2,300 units worth of new buildings. In this area, schools are already 6 students over capacity in total. And again, these numbers do not count residential conversions. The reason I show you these maps at the local neighborhood level is because New Yorkers expect, and they do have a right to expect, that there should be schools in their neighborhood for their young children to attend. That has been our great New York tradition. But ultimately, this is not just about a few specific neighborhoods. It's about the Department of Education's overall planning process, and I believe it has to change. And what's troubling is, DOE's current plans for new school construction are still just aiming to make up for lost time. My office discovered that according to DOE's own data, Manhattan's overcrowded elementary and middle schools are already 3,900 students over capacity. And the DOE currently plans to add just over 4,300 new seats to Manhattan's classrooms over the next 5 years. That would barely be enough to relieve existing overcrowding, but with hardly any seats left over to accommodate ongoing growth, and clearly there's no plan for the class size reductions our students desperately need. Now I know today's forum is about solutions, and in my report I propose a 3-point plan to reform the city's planning process so we stop outgrowing our schools and stop forcing children into already overcrowded classrooms. So first, the department must plan ahead for growth. DOE must develop a transparent formula, and I want to repeat, transparent formula for projecting future growth, a formula that anticipates the numbers of classrooms needed to meet demand. And second, DOE must plan locally. School district boundaries are so large that they obscure the persistent overcrowding and growth that exists at the neighborhood level. DOE shouldn't just look at school districts, they should look at neighborhoods, because neighborhoods are where New Yorkers actually live. Third, this fall, the School Construction Authority must propose a much more aggressive 5-year capital plan, one that relieves existing overcrowding, plans for new growth, and gives us the capacity to finally reduce class size system-wide. We need a bigger, better school capital plan, and we need to start organizing to get it now before the new 5-year plan is released this fall. My office is gathering petitions to Chancellor Klein, calling on him to make these reforms. And if you agree that we need a better capital plan for the kids, please sign the petition. We'll get it over to the Chancellor. In closing, I want to note that in the short time since we've issued this report, and since we've all started working together, the parents doing the great work they did with their PowerPoint, our school construction task force, the local elected officials in this community who've done an amazing job, I wanted to tell you that I do see some encouraging signs of progress. First, we understand that as soon as next week, the Department of Education will propose a plan to address school overcrowding generally in this specific district, District 2. That's the first response we've seen on the issue, and we look forward to working with them and seeing what they have to say. Second, this community should be very proud, I think, that their determined advocacy has won a commitment by the Rudin family to build a 535-seat K-5 school at 17th and 6th. The site's going to be opposite PS 41, so that is going to be a step to relieve overcrowding. I commend the Rudin family for doing that. Third, I don't know if it's just in the air, but as many of you know, I've been working with our community on our NYU task force that many of you have read about, and many of you participated with our elected officials, and as part of NYU's Development Task Force, they have now set up a system with the goal of adding a new public school to their campus plan. We have that commitment tonight, so we stick to that. If we can do 1,000 new seats a day by the end of the week, we will have accomplished our goal. But their response comes from your amazing ability to organize and not just go to demonstrations, but that's important. It's about being able to document and show where we have to be. And as part of the land use and zoning process that we try to encourage, getting these kind of commitments are crucial. So in conclusion, these are great first steps, these are great victories, but it doesn't stop there. We need to get our petitions out, we need to participate, we need to hear what the parents say, the teachers, the educators, and what's really great is to hear what the kids say, because that's what it's all about. And don't think you're running for our president anytime soon, okay? Listen, start. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you, Mr. Borough President. A copy of the Borough President's report found out is on his website, manhattanbp.org. I'm guessing, but I bet if you Google Manhattan Borough President, bpo.org, mbpo.org. Copy of this report. Definitely read it. It's really illuminating. So thank you for putting that together. Thanks for everyone. And Committee 2 also did a report, and as the Borough President indicated, it's all about collecting evidence and demonstrating to our public officials our needs for new classrooms. And the report Keene Burgers Committee created is called Crowded Out, No Room to Learn, and it's on the Community Board 2 website at cb2manhattan.org. In that report, you'll hear some of the testimony that we heard back in January, including information about how students said that their schools were noisy, crowded, and there was a lack of storage space. Sounds like my apartment, but anyhow. I want to also acknowledge a couple of our CEC members who are here, and they do great work representing parents. Michael Markowitz, Mary Silver, Rebecca Daniel, and Jerry Pepe. And the District 2 Superintendent is here, and that's Daria Rajmi. Reagan. Sorry for butchering that name. I would say that it's Anne's handwriting that is coming between me and correct pronunciation.
I take full responsibility.
We now are going to move to what I consider the good news portion of tonight's hearing. And as the Borough President and Assembly Member Glick alluded to, there is some terrific news. And, you know, they say that success has 100 parents and failure is an orphan. Well, I think success tonight has a few hundred parents, and that's all of you here tonight. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, who's going to describe one of the initiatives that was mentioned by the Borough President, and he's John Gilbert from the Green Organization.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Keene. A lot of things have been going on this week, and today is a very, very exciting day for us, and I think for everybody in this room. Mayor Bloomberg and Chancellor Klein announced that Sisters of Charity, the Foundling Hospital, Reuben Family have all come together to help create a brand new elementary school, which will be located at 590 6th Avenue, 17th Street and 6th Avenue. It will be serve children from the pre-K level to the 5th grade. Just to correct the borough president's numbers, it will have actually 563 seats. For you, Evan, as a student here, my wife is a big believer in chi, and chi is all about energy. And I think it's the 3rd law of energy that says that it cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. And the kernel for the idea of creating a school came about right here at PS 41. Literally, as I was walking over to that meeting with Principal Kelly Shannon, with Irene Kaufman and Kjellberg, who's here, there may be other mothers who were there. I apologize for not recognizing you. I got a call from Sharon Greenberger, who's the head of the School Construction Authority, imploring me to try, as part of the St. Vincent's Hospital project that Reuben is so proud to be a partner with the hospital about creating a hospital. Can't you do something about creating a new school? And I said, Sharon, I've known you for 15 years. I'll do whatever we can, having no clue about how we could possibly accomplish that. Then sat down in Kelly's office with these nice people who were very polite and very forceful. And as I was sitting on that couch with Bernadette King-Bez, who's here from St. Vincent's Hospital, and Michael Fagan, also from St. Vincent's Hospital, a lightning bolt hit my brain. And it dawned on me that we had been looking at this property, the Foundling Hospital, actually for space for St. Vincent's for a medical office facility. And I started thinking, and I think I said to Irene and to Ann, I can't guarantee you anything, but I will guarantee to you one thing. When I do come back to you, I will only come back to you with a concrete proposal that is real and that can be actualized in as soon as time as possible. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Literally, the next day, and I said, because the whole thing was, let's put it on the site, and I said to them, what about like something 6 blocks, 7 blocks away? Well, that would be great. Okay. The next day, literally had the architects from the School Construction Authority walking the building. We walked in the front door. The guy looked at me and he said, you know what, we see a lot of buildings. Not every building can become a school. I'm really not, I don't think this probably will work. I said, okay, well, let's go with it. Let's keep going. Every issue, ceiling heights, floor loads, window spacing, it has a kitchen. It has outside space. It had literally every building block that was required to create a school was there. And within a week, we had the thing, School Construction Authority and Sharon Greenberg had this school designed. So within 4 months, I think it was 4 months, Irene, we met, we have designed a school. We have a handshake on a deal. It is not papered yet. We have a major meeting next week to finalize all the details. But I can tell you, as a somewhat grizzled veteran of real estate and government, this is very, very special, and I want to thank you all. Two forces that I think really deserve special note. The first is the Sisters of Charity. The Sisters are the sponsors of both St. Vincent's Hospital and of the Foundling Hospital. Each of these institutions, 150 years for St. Vincent's, 140 years for the Foundling. The facility that the school will be moving into is a world-renowned pediatric nursing facility. It is one of the saddest places because these are the neediest kids, the sickest kids, most of which never leave. They go there, they're cared for, and much like our elderly who enter into a nursing home, they never leave. So, a big shout out for the Sisters of Charity. The second group of people that I want to acknowledge are the Ring family. They are providing a financial backstop to this deal to make this happen. If for some reason, and I can't think of any, but that the School Construction Authority cannot fulfill and make this happen, the Rubens are there with a financial backstop to make sure that the Foundling is held whole. Now, why is that important? The process that will start hopefully tomorrow will be a public review process that will be sponsored by the Mayor's office and by Christine Quinn's office. Kate is here, and they've been amazing. That process will then ultimately create an approval process that will allow the school to happen. In your attempts to try to create schools, it's important to notice to remember that this public review process really puts a very, very hard bar to jump over to the School Construction Authority. Why? Because how do you hold that property frozen for the 6, 8 weeks, 10 weeks you need to take to get the approval process? In this case, you do it because the Rudin family is standing there and saying, we're going to make this happen. The other folks that really deserve acknowledgement, certainly Scott Stringer, who's here, the borough president, Deborah Glick, your fine assemblywoman, the speaker of the council, represented by Kate today, Jerry Nadler, congressman, who in the meeting in the speaker's office reminded me when I told him I was a staffer in 1977, he taught me an important lesson. He said, you weren't a staffer, you were just an intern. And Scott reminded me that he never saw me blush before. And who did I forget? Oh, Tom Duane, how could I forget Tom, our great state senator down here. And Brad and Keen in terms of really pushing, fighting, and making sure that we listen. And the first time that I stood up in front of the community working group, I said that the Rudin family always starts a project with a conversation. And many of you have stood up and said you didn't believe we were listening. I think tonight everybody in this room can believe that the Rudin family listens. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, John, and send our regards to the Rudin family. This is, of course, terrific news. I think all of us are really in deep awe of the commitment that you've demonstrated to this project, and we're obviously grateful to all of our elected officials for helping put the package together. The Speaker's office, Assemblywoman Glick, and Borough President Stringer, of course. Indeed. And we as a community board have been proud to make certain that the issue has been out there and heard loud and clearly. And you're getting a lot of love tonight, and you certainly deserve it. So thanks again. But the good news doesn't end there. And our next speaker ably represents New York University and Government and Community Relations. Alicia Hurley is going to tell us what the university's commitment involves. Alicia.
So I'm here, but we're nowhere close to the final numbers or commitments. But as many of you hopefully know, we have been going through for the past year a campus planning effort for the next 25 years of our growth projections. Sorry. And so what we want to try to do is work with a committee of people to contemplate square footage that can go into our planning process, probably right around our main campus area in the Washington Square area, where the Washington Square Village Towers are and will be, or we're near where the Silver Towers will be. If many of you know our campus, we have a Kohl's gym. Some of the designs that you've seen are a lot of the images that we've been contemplating our future growth. So when I'm here to talk to you about it, it's how can we integrate a school into what we're thinking and planning on doing. It won't have to wait till 2031. We think we can get there a lot sooner than that, so don't worry. Your kids won't be graduating from college by that point. But we're very excited. And I really want to congratulate the community board for this effort and for Chairman Brad Hoyle and the team. You guys have just done amazing work. It is amazing to watch a community pull together this way. It doesn't always happen, and I think you are to be commended for making that. And the other part of that, and I want to really thank the borough president, it was his report showing up on President Sexton's desk just in the past couple of weeks that has really refined this and made this a real issue for us. And so we're very excited to be able to work in partnership. And thanks again to and here's the fun part of all of this. Our dean for the Steinhardt School of Education is thrilled about this possibility. We work in schools throughout the city in tutoring programs in every fashion that you could believe, whether it's math and science or computer science or teacher training, early education, forum. These are the things that we think we will be able to partner with this public school and really bring the intellectual heft that the university holds to our faculty. And at this point, it's not the institutional resources, it's the people of the institution who can bring their resources to bear. And I think that would be a really, really exciting thing to be thinking through together. And we invite the community board to be a part of our internal conversation about making that real. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alicia. And once again, I think we have to acknowledge that development can be creative. It should listen to the community. It can involve a process that incorporates needs that are, both at the student level, involving open space, affordable housing. And this is an example of that kind of process actually working. So we need to pause and reflect on that, and I think, frankly, savor it. So thank you again, Alicia. The community has also had editorial support from our hometown newspapers, and they often don't get a lot of credit at forums like this, but I have to say, both of these publications have been covering our stories in a way that has been incredibly helpful with DOE, with our elected officials, with the School Construction Authority. So the Villager newspaper and its arch rival, Westfield. So thank you for your support ongoing on this issue. I wanted to mention that we have a suggestion box. That's this big blue cube up here. And you've probably been handed yellow cards. So we're looking for other locations for schools. And so feel free to trundle up, drop in your suggestion, and we're going to look at those and see what additional sites we have in mind. Our next speaker is representing the City Council Speaker. Her name is Kate Seeley-Kirk. She's the District Chief of Staff for Christine Quinn. Kate?
Thank you so much. I'm going to be very brief, I promise. First, the speaker is very sorry she couldn't be here this evening. She's actually in Belfast this evening, or the last couple days, with Mayor Bloomberg at an investment conference. But she's particularly sorry to be missing this because she's very passionate about the issue of school overcrowding. And first and foremost, thank you to Committee Board 2, Keenberger, Brad Boyleman, and Bob Gormley for pulling this together. It's fantastic. And then definitely a big thank you to the Rudin family, the New York Family Charitable Corporation, Mayor Bloomberg, and Chancellor Klein for their very exciting announcement today. It's really amazing. The main thing that I wanted to speak to you about tonight is because your involvement and advocacy is so important. I wanted to let you know about a couple very important upcoming hearing dates. On May 21st, the New York City Council Finance and Education Committee is going to be holding a hearing on the Department of Education's 5-year capital plan. And again, that's on May 21st at 10 a.m., and that's going to be in the main council chambers. And the hearing is mainly for the Department of Education and the School Construction Authority to answer council members' questions on the February draft of the 5-year capital plan. And there is time allotted at the end for public speakers if you get there early and fill in a card. But there is another hearing directly after it, so definitely bring something in writing so you can submit it for the record. The second hearing is going to be on May 27th. And it's going to be the New York City Council Finance and Education Committee hearing on the Department of Education's expense budget. So that'll be May 27th at 9:30 a.m., also in the council main chambers. And at this hearing, the Department of Education will be answering council members' questions on their expense proposal, which, as everyone here knows, does include significant cuts this year. And again, there's time for the public to speak at the end, but definitely bring something to submit in writing. Now, the Council recognizes that all agencies, including the Department of Education, which receives approximately 1/3 of the city's budget, will have to sustain cuts. However, the Speaker feels it's particularly critical to replace cuts that directly affect schools with cuts in the Department of Education's central operations. And to learn more on the Speaker's position on that, so I don't bore you right now, you can visit our council website at www.nyc.council.gov, and you can click on the council's fiscal year 2009 preliminary budget response. And there's also a lot of information on the Speaker's universal pre-K work and middle school task force. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. And please give the Speaker our regards as she is in Northern Ireland with the Mayor, I understand. So we can thank them together. It's very fitting that we've just been joined by the chairperson of the City Council Committee on Education, the Honorable Robert Jackson. Our next speaker will be representing the perspective on middle schools, which is one of the needs that has not yet been addressed by the solutions phase, but which is a very important component of getting new school space. And Tamara, are you available? Tamara.
Thank you. It's very exciting that we're going to have new elementary schools. I'm quite intrigued to find out what NYU has in mind. But I'm specifically here to talk about the need for middle schools. I heard Chancellor Klein speak at the new school recently about how he's passionate about decreasing segregation, increasing performance, getting kids ready for high school. I know that Mr. Quinn has had our middle school task force just made recommendations about what we need to do to improve our middle schools. And both politicians and many parents and educators see middle school as a real linchpin to success, for success in high school and beyond. But we don't have enough middle school seats in District 2, and we haven't had enough for years. We have more students than we have available seats. We've had middle schools close, a sufficient number of seats to replace them. I know that it's very exciting to think of perhaps a new middle school being built, but one of the concerns that many of our parents have in District 2 is that we feel blessed with so many wonderful middle schools to choose from, but those schools are crowded. The class size is too large and they don't have the means to expand. So what I'm here to speak about tonight specifically is 2 schools in our district that are very high performing, exceptionally diverse, and are 2 schools that there is a demand for more seats in and not enough space in the building to make that happen. So one is shares a building with PS3, Greenwich Village Middle School. They have definitely outgrown their space. They're sharing a space with an elementary school that has a cafeteria that's too small for all of their students to fit in without violating the fire code. The gym is an L-shaped space with padded columns. So there is really no space to have any large motor movement and no unobstructed view of the children during gym. The hallways are too narrow, so they have to do very creative scheduling so that the kids can pass safely in the hallways. They don't have adequate clustering space. They don't have space for intervention. And this is a building which we looked at just trying to expand the current facility, and there is no way to bring that building up to code and to create additional space on the roof. So they need a new home. And then there's Lindsay, where my children go, which shares a building with PS11. And that school also is reaching a crisis point in terms of crowding. We're taking in an additional class next year. PS11 is also, I believe, taking in an additional kindergarten class. So if both the elementary school and the middle school are growing, something will be sacrificed. So our principal's trying to look very creatively at what could be done with the current building to address our needs, but I'm not sure that there is a solution within that building to make that happen. So we're very open to creative ideas, but I don't want to see the needs of 2 very good existing middle schools be ignored in the rush to create some big splashy new middle school somewhere. So it's really a plea to support what's really working and to try to provide more seats in the schools that people want so that we can meet the overall demand within our district. Thank you.
That was really insightful. Our next speaker is Evelyn De Jesus of the United Federation of Teachers with an important perspective for us tonight. And she's joined by Klaus Bornemann.
Thank you for having us and for inviting us. I was going to, well, everyone has said everything I want to say, but I just want to tell you, I oversee all the schools in District 2, every elementary, every middle school, and 3 high schools. From some of the data and Scott Stringer's presentation, I think the problem is worse than we think. When I'm going to give you a perspective of, we have been policing the Department of Ed all along. We are the people that go in and say, you know, according to the funding that's coming in, these are the amount of kids you should have contractually, kindergarten 25, non-title 20. I know I can tell you every school that is overcrowded because this gentleman and I have all the grievances. But the issue is this. PS 89, 116 to 34, we go in. Our last resort is to grieve because people think, parents, teachers, that it's against a principle. That is not true. We need the data. This is a data-driven world. And one of the issues with 89 when I went 3 years ago with Randy, we're encouraged that this is happening. And we're on board with you. This has been our fight all along. But we also, when we talk about the political will, the people that are running this Department of Ed are not educators, number one. So we need to, I agree with you, Keith, in the political will, but we need to have the language, we need to be speaking the same language with that politics. And we want to help with that. We welcome being part of those conversations with the CEC, with every board, but I think we need to also change the way we think about what the union is doing. Our teachers will take that extra 26, 27 child, because that's what we do. But because it creates safety issues, it creates hazardous ways, and also a quality of education. And when they look at, 116 has 4 oversized kindergarten classes. The chapter leader, which is supposed to brief, said to me, if I brief this, we lose the dance club. We lose the lab, whatever it is that they have as enrichment, they lose. So it's a tough call to make, but it's a call that has to be made. So we wanted you to see our perspective, and we're in this fight. We've been the police in this fight for many, many years, and we'll continue to. But next year, with all the budget cuts, because they will come, class size is the number one agenda. Once we win these grievances, because we win them, some of the history is after 3 years, something has to be resolved. Tomorrow, when we talk about 260 and we talk about Greenwich Village, let's talk about 131. And so let's see what we can do together.
Thank you.